Well, today it begins. I'm going to start Memories of Ice this afternoon, the third book in the Malazan Book of the Fallen. I'm excited to read this book, still a little scared because I looked at the Dramatis Personae and it's 4 pages long, and I didn't recognize most of the names. So I guess we're in for another one of those challenging reads, but I'm excited to read this. This vlog, I will tell you at the outset, this will be a spoiler vlog. The first two, because they were just early in the series, I didn't do any spoilers. This one will be full spoilers, so this is probably a vlog only for people that have read this book. I'm also probably not going to do maybe as many entries because I kind of want to sit on some of these things a little bit more, but who knows? I'm just going to take it as it goes. But I'm excited to start this. If you saw my Dead House Gates vlog, you know that I loved that book. There were so many things I enjoyed about that book. We had a great discussion on the channel. Alex, Jordan, Ian, along with Alan, talking about that book, and I thoroughly enjoyed that discussion. And I've been told by a lot of people that this is one that they think I'll really, really enjoy. Now, it's a hefty book. My goal is to finish it in like 10 days, but it's probably going to take like 2 weeks because I do have to read these books a lot slower. But I'm going to shut up so that the bulk of this can be what I experience as I read Memories of Ice. So, here goes. I hope you enjoy this vlog. So tonight I read the prologue and chapters 1, 2, and 3 of Memories of Ice. So at first, it of course was confusing because the prologue was a bunch of new things, as was the first chapter for the most part. And I found myself initially forgetting a lot of things. Like when I met Talk the Younger, I remembered the character name, but I didn't remember his story. Tool, I immediately remembered him. He was very memorable. But as it went along, I started to remember a lot more of Gardens of the Moon, a little better than I thought I did originally. My favorite scenes were probably in the second chapter with the bridge burners, just because I'm more familiar with them. But I love the third chapter the most. I love the introduction of Silver Fox, new character, kind of, because it's half of Silver Fox's Tattersail's soul. So I really liked that character a lot. I've always enjoyed characters like that, kind of the prescient children that are not what they seem. And I liked chapter 3 quite a bit because it stuck to kind of one setting and mainly one point of view, although it was kind of two because it went between, well, 3. The Great Raven was in there, and Whiskey Jack, and My Bay. I don't know how to pronounce that. That's how I'm going to say it. She was kind of the primary point of view, but it stuck on that action for a while. And I find, for me, just personally in reading Erikson, that's when I like him the most, is when I have time to just sit with the characters and see what's going on. I loved Kaladin Brood and Dujek meeting for the first time, these enemies. And there was a great quote about how soldiers are just pragmatic because they're joining forces now. And you could see kind of the mutual respect between the two of them. And I'm liking this so far. I guess I'm 90 pages in, so I'm about 1/10 of the way, so I have a long way to go. I know there's a whole heap of characters I've yet to learn. I decided not to take notes. I took notes with Dead House Gates. I wrote down all the point of view characters, and then when they finished a point of view section or chapter, I wrote down where they were. Initially, I thought I should, but then as I got into chapter 2, I realized I don't think I'm going to need to with this book. I only did that for the first book of Dead House Gates anyway, but I think that I have a pretty good grasp, and I'm remembering just enough of Gardens of the Moon and these characters to just feel like I'm on solid footing and I'm not confused or anything like that. So, very good start. This is a Sunday, so my week isn't too bad, so I will be able to read a little bit more during the week than some weeks. So we'll see. I still have the goal of trying to put this down in 9 days because I have so many books on the TBR this month, but we'll see what it is. I can't read this fast. That's the issue. I read 90 pages. It took about 2.5 hours for me to read that much because I have to read this slowly to just catch everything. Like there were some things with a standard bearer, I don't remember his name, that like Silver Fox was looking at him funny a couple times, where if I were reading fast, I might not have picked up on that. I don't know what it means yet, but I'm sure Erickson will let me know when it happens. So off to a good start. So it's Wednesday night. I just finished book 1. I was hoping to get there yesterday, but as they say, there's no tired like a teacher in May, tired, and went to bed early and didn't read as much as I could. I'm going to be reading a lot more tonight, but I wanted to just kind of pause and, I don't know, just take stock of where I am here at the end of book 1. Originally, I found the Caravanserai storyline like beyond dull. Like every time we went there, I just wanted to be somewhere else. Until this last chapter. I guess we'll find out if Gruntle is dead and what happened with that attack with all of these characters. The Beauchelane, I think is the name, and Corbel Broach, those mages are very interesting. I kind of liked some of the characters in this last chapter, so maybe they just got killed off, who knows. But that whole storyline was beyond boring until that last chapter. But the Bridge Burners, Quick Ben and Perrin and Silver Fox, that has been my favorite part of this book. I've really enjoyed everything that's going on there. Animander Rake just showed up in the last chapter, and he's trying to find out about Quick Ben, so there's some just interesting thing going on there. The thing with Perrin turning into an Ascendant and the new deck on the Deck of Dragons with that floating table, really interesting stuff. I'm finding, like, I just want to stay with them, and all of these other storylines I could care less about. The other one, Talk the Younger and Lady Envy, I would put probably in my ranking of the 3 kind of plot lines, that one kind of in the middle. I kind of like the dynamic between those 2 characters, and just curious to see what's going on with that, because I don't really know. But overall, I'm enjoying this a lot more than any of the previous 2. Maybe because there's just, I'm not confused. I mean, there's new characters, and I don't always understand the magic or how that works. I can't always picture the creatures very well because I'm not a very visual reader, but I'm not confused. There's elements I don't understand or know what's going on, but I don't feel like just totally lost or confused like I had through most of Gardens of the Moon and just at times at the beginning of Dead House Gate. So 1 book in, I'm enjoying it. I have some other thoughts over the series as a whole, but I think I'll save that till my next check-in, maybe tomorrow night, maybe Friday. I'm still hoping to read this fast, only because I have a huge month planned. But so far, so good. I think 200 pages in, this is my favorite of the 3 books at this point. So it's Thursday night. There's 2 things I wanted to talk about that I read last night that I didn't talk about. The first one, I don't know why I didn't bring it up. I chatted it to our group chat, but dinosaurs with freaking sword arms.
Sharks with frickin' laser beams attached to their heads
Is like the most outrageous thing I think I've read in any fantasy novel. So that was really cool. Another thing I read last night that I really liked was there was this conversation with Whiskey Jack and Animander Rake that I found very compelling, where Whiskey Jack tells kind of the backstory and the founding of the Bridge Burners, and I thought it was amazing. It was maybe some of the best pages I've read in all of Malazan, to be honest. So that said, let me tell you where I am right now. I've been trying to read this thing really fast because I know that next week is a hellish week for me. Will be lucky next week, if Monday through Saturday, if I can read even an hour a day. So I've been trying to push ahead and finish this on Sunday. And I realized tonight as I was reading that this is feeling like a chore. So I need to just face the fact that this is going to take a lot more time than I want it to. The chapter I just read, I think it was chapter 10, I was just beat, and it was the least compelling chapter of the book so far. At least for me, it was following the storyline of the people that I frankly don't care about, and that just added to it. So I was planning on finishing book 2 tonight. I still have like 70 more pages left in that, but I'm not. I'm gonna turn off the camera. I'm gonna turn on the TV because I'm just not feeling this book right now. And it's my own fault. I think I'm just trying to read too much. 2 and 3 hour sessions every night this week. It's just caught up with me that it's just a little too much. There's too much density. It's wearing me out and I'm just not feeling it. And everyone talks about how great this book is. So I don't want to ruin it because of the way I'm reading it. So I'm going to slow down. I don't know if I will maybe add another book to the mix, just knowing this is going to take a little bit longer or what. But I don't know. I'll update you in the next update. But that's where I am right now. So Friday night I just read 1 chapter. I mentioned in my last update, I really need to slow down because this has felt like a chore, and it kind of still did tonight, despite it being a Bridge Burners chapter. I keep thinking about something when we did our live stream for Dead House Gates. I mentioned that I don't like military fantasy. And Alan said, well, why are you reading Malazan? And I'm wondering if all of this military fantasy is just catching up with me, and that's why all of a sudden this book that was kind of like a 4-star read for me is honestly like a 2-star right now. It still feels like a chore. I got onto our group chat with Alex and Jordan and Ian that we have on the Discord, and Alex assured me that if I just get through part 2, that the 3rd and 4th parts are amazing, and I hope that's the case. I think 30 pages away from finishing part 2 because I have not enjoyed part 2 at all. A couple moments here and there. There was one moment in this last chapter that I liked with Perrin realizing just kind of the weight of command, where he realized that having to send people off to their deaths or ordering them to their deaths is not something he likes, but it is something that is necessary to be a military leader. I enjoyed thematically that small moment. And I continue to like some of the small moments, but as a whole, this feels like a grind, and that's not why I read. So I'm not in a great place with this book right now. I hope it'll pick up. I don't want to DNF the book or the series, but it's still kind of a chore at this point. Another update probably tomorrow, because I think at this point, some more frequent updates are a good idea. So we'll see. We'll talk soon. Saturday night, I read a few chapters tonight. Almost DNF'd. I'm realizing it's all the military fantasy. It's just not my thing at all. Like the chapter I just read was the beginnings of the Battle of Capistan, and it was 40 pages, and I just found it interminable. I've also been reading, about 2 hours, which I think is about my limit for this book. So I'm going to try another tactic because I don't want to DNF. I'm going to try to just read a chapter a night. So I'm actually going to probably read another hour or 2 tonight. I'm just going to pick up another book. See if that helps. But yeah, it's a bit disappointing. I don't want to DNF this book because I've been reading it for over 10 hours, and that's quite a commitment to just give up on the book, especially when it seems like the last half should be good. But it's all the military fantasy. I mean, if this is indicative of the rest of the series, I don't know if I'll be going past this book at this point. Time will tell. Well, I just made the decision to pull the plug and DNF Memories of Ice. I'm just not enjoying it at all. I commented on the Discord yesterday that, like, I've been doing a chapter a night, and I read a chapter with the Bridge Burners and loved it. It was so good. I mean, Whiskey Jack is a great character. I enjoyed what was going on. Back to loving the book. And then the next chapter was the Gray Swords. And it was like a 22-page chapter, and it felt like it took like 5 days to read it. I mean, it was just interminable. Like, I had no interest in that plot thread at all. And then I started a chapter tonight, and it was Talk the Younger, and I stopped caring about that character when he ran away from Lady Envy and that crew. And I just realized I'm not enjoying this. And that's not why I read, as much as I want to push on and push through, because I hate to quit things. I rarely DNF. I DNF maybe a book a year, maybe 2. I've certainly never DNF'd a book 500 pages in. I mean, that's probably 12, 13 hours of reading. But I have to. I'm just not enjoying this. I was hoping to push to the end and then maybe asking on this vlog, like, what should I do? Like, should I DNF the series? Should I, you know, not do the read along and just slow down, or try the 1 chapter a night? But I can't even do the 1 chapter a night right now. Granted, work life's really busy right now, so I don't know if I'll ever come back to it. I'm probably going to sell my Bantam trade paperbacks because I spent a decent amount of money on them. I'd like to recoup that, and probably selling them as a set, I could probably sell that back. But I don't know. I don't know if I'll ever post this. I think I'll ask the community what they think. But it's how it is. I just I didn't enjoy it, and I don't know what else to say. If you're watching this, thanks for watching. Now that the dust has settled, I wanted to do just a final summation of my thoughts, since this is most likely the last vlog that I will do with Malazan. It's been a few days. I finished reading the book as the DNF Wednesday night and Saturday afternoon. So I've had some time to think about some different aspects of why perhaps this book and this book series just weren't working for me. So I just wanted to talk about that now that I've been able to process a little bit. Because the DNF in many ways was a bit traumatic for me. I'd put so much time into the book. I don't DNF very often. I DNF'd 1 book last year, 1 book the previous year, 0 books the year before that. So it's not something that I do very often. And usually when I do it, it's less than 100 pages in. So this was kind of a big deal to not only stop this book that I've read so long, but drop out of the series, drop out of the read-along that I was having so much fun doing. I was kind of moping around all day. But I do feel that for right now, it was the best decision. When I started editing this video and seeing the different things that I was talking about through the process, the one thing that struck me early on is every time that I gave an update, I started talking about different characters. Because for me, character-centric storytelling is my favorite. And I think that's one aspect of this that hurt my enjoyment of this book, is that except for the bridge burners, I honestly didn't care about another single character in this entire book. And it made it tough at times when I got to like the caravanserai and the gray swords and all of those other plot threads that just I didn't find compelling at all. I alluded to something early in one of the updates where I said, I have bigger thoughts about the series I want to share with you, but I'll do it in a future post. Well, here it is. As much as I loved Dead House Gates, what I never felt with this series was a sense of connection to it. I think about the 2 modern authors that I've connected with, for the most part, the most in the fantasy genre, Robin Hobb and Joe Abercrombie. Those are 2 character-centric authors. And this is not to say that Erikson doesn't create great characters, because there are some fantastic characters in this series. But that's not his focus. And I think that's one reason why I never fundamentally felt connected to this. With both of those authors that I mentioned, by the time I got about halfway through their 2nd book, I was just all in. I was excited to read everything that they wrote. I still wasn't super excited about this series. I never felt that deep connection like I did with those authors. And it's just because of that writing style. And I know that's not what Erikson is looking to achieve. In fact, I was watching a live stream with him and somebody asked him the question, would you ever tell a character-centric novel or series? And he almost got offended by the question. At least that was the outward appearance that he gave, because he said, no, that's not what I do. So I just think from a storytelling standpoint, he's bringing something different to the table than what is my favorite thing about reading this genre. One of my commenters said something on the community post, I think it was Eric, said something to the effect that the people that love Malazan and the people that hate Malazan do so for the same reasons. And I found that kind of profound because I think about it, a lot of the things that people talk about this series are the things that people will like or not like about it. I had one drawback with reading this right now. This is a horrible month for me. This past week, the earliest I got home any night this week was 9:30, which is when I normally go to bed. So trying to read Malazan after 12, 14-hour days, that probably didn't help at all. So I guess the big question, am I 100% done with Malazan? I would say probably, but I'm not going to say definitively yes, because I have heard a lot of my booktube friends that started the series and gave up, started over, started a book, gave up, came back. So I can't say for sure. I strongly suspect that I am. However, I'm not selling the books yet. I have a stack in my walk-in closet in my bedroom, so I'm going to see them every day. And I wonder if seeing them every day at some point, I'm going to say, maybe it's time to try Memories of Ice again. So I'm going to give myself a year. So if May 1st comes around next year and I haven't picked up any of the books, then I'll probably know that I've moved on. I don't have any desire to read this series because I do recognize that so many people have loved this series and I kind of wanted to be part of that group, but it just wasn't meant to be at this point. Maybe if I do pick it up later and enjoy the book, then I can kind of read it at maybe a slower pace and not have a read along to contend with how fast I have to read these. But as for now, I'm pretty much done. But thank you for sticking around with us. I know it's probably only Malazan vets that have watched this, but let me know if you have any concrete advice for me. I'd love just your thoughts on it based on what you see, what I like, what my dislikes are. I already talked about the military fantasy aspects of it ad nauseum. I don't need to rehash that, but this is the end of my vlog. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. You can also find me on Twitter and Goodreads. I'd love to interact with you there. As always, thank you for watching. Until next time, goodbye.